Ladies and gentlemen, fellas, oh boy, it's April Fool's Day. Oh boy, we're into April. A lot of things happening today. The MLB starts up today. It's April Fool's Day today, right? It's National Burrito Day, so you know I might be having to stop by for a nice little burrito bowl. We got our hood up right now. First time on the channel with the hood up, I think. That's definitely a lie because we be popping off in them live streams. We be putting them big schmacks on our head. How you doing today? Hopefully you all having a lovely start to the day. 7-game slate today. The MLB does start. I know I'll get questions. You're going to cover the MLB. If there was two of me, I would cover the MLB as well. But what we're going to do on Patreon is I'm going to be providing projections. I'll be tapping into an API, meaning I'll be getting generated stats and building projections from that over on Patreon. It'll be a beta. It'll be free for all Patreon tiers, no matter which one you're in. It'll be a beta that we'll try out for a month. We'll see how it goes on my end, if it's something that I could logistically keep up, because you have to keep in mind, we're covering the NBA every single day. That's taking up somewhere around 4 to 5 hours of my time to build tools and to be doing these projections and to be doing all this stuff. And then also, obviously, the PGA and the MMA and other stuff in the background side of the business and prepping for NFL is always going to be in play. But obviously, so a lot of you are here just for the NBA content, but that's sort of the whole kabish on what's going to be happening for MLB. I won't be covering it on this channel, at least not in the foreseeable future, just because of my other interests and my time. Prioritize that personal life time and the minutes and the moments that I have with that as much as possible. So, like, subscribe, 7-game slate. We'll be live later today around 5 p.m. East Coast time. So when you hit that notification bell as well, it'll let you know when we're doing all of that shit. I got the slate already all the way projected out. So these top 12 plays based on the news that we're going to get today on a 7-game slate. And there's some big news of some big key players out. We'll get into that momentarily. But all my SuperDraft projections, all of my DraftKings projections are all done. My top interests, my player pools, as of right now, are done. Obviously, will be updated throughout the day. You want to access those, they're linked down below. The player news for today. James Harden got hurt yesterday. He did not return. He is questionable. I am listing James Harden as out. They said it was a hamstring tweak. It is pretty rare that 20 hours after you tear, hopefully not, but after you tweak your hamstring that you come back. So I'm listing him out. The Cleveland forwards. Every single Cleveland forward today seems to have some sort of status. Larry Nance Jr., Jared Allen, who's more so a center, right? They are out today. Kevin Love is questionable. I'm expecting him to play. I haven't been for 15 minutes. And Dylan Windler is also out today. So not many guys there. Bradley Beal questionable. John Collins is out. Wheels up for our man Clint Capella here. Zion has a sprained thumb, questionable, projecting him in. Lonzo, questionable, projecting him in. Paul George is out. Marcus Morris is questionable. Oladipo expected to play today. DeAndre Hunter, questionable. All those Detroit guys from yesterday who missed, some of them maybe play today. We'll see what happens with Dennis Smith Jr. and Wayne Ellington, currently projecting them in. So there you go. There's your news. There's a lot of fucking news today, so we'll update it throughout the day on Patreon as always. Our number 12 play in the day right now, he comes up a whole whopping $100 Rooskies since the last time that we saw him on the slate yesterday when we were interested in $7,000 DeJounte Murray. DeJounte Murray was like our number 10 play on the slate, I believe, yesterday. And what does he do? Well, at $7,000, he goes out there and he has a quote-unquote bad game where he scores 34 points. Okay, he doesn't get you there. He doesn't tank your lineups. The game blows out. They end up in that game winning by 14. So he probably missed out on 1 to 2 minutes in that game. He shoots 36% in that game. So his 61% and 50% shooting from the two previous games comes down. 4 of 11 shooting. Not the greatest. And that's what you end up happening. Now the price point comes up $100, hoping people stay away from him in this really nice matchup against Atlanta today where they're down John Collins. They're down some bigs for DeJounte Murray, who likes to drive, who likes to get rebounds, increases those types of things for him. With a 110 team implied total, 110.5. We'll take DeJounte Murray as our number 12 play on the day right now. I currently have DeJounte projecting out for 34 minutes and 37.57 fantasy points. It's looking good for DeJounte. The number 11 play on the day, Mr. Patty Mills. So I'm expecting today to not see Lonnie Walker yet again, like we just saw the other day. He missed yesterday, so I'm expecting him to not play. I'm giving Patty Mills 26 minutes. Look, we have to find value somewhere, and there's a decent amount of it early on. You'll see some more in these top 12 plays, the top 12 Dollarooski dozens, if you will, right? The schmacks. How you doing today? How's your Thursday going? Your Friday Eve? Did you watch a challenge last night? What are you doing? How's your day going? Let me know how you're celebrating your national calendar days today in the comments down below. Hopefully, you're going to be doing some special things with them burritos. But Patty Mills, $4,100. Look, the guy continues to produce. I got him as a 0.85 fantasy point per minute producer today. I got him for 26 minutes in a quality matchup against Atlanta on the same exact team, obviously, as DeJounte Murray. Now, when we're talking about the big energy optimizer, the optimizer that we have, yeah, you can start to set some rules tonight. Set some rules that I want on a 7-game slate, at most 2 of DeJounte Murray, Patty Mills, and DeMar DeRozan. You can set a rule like that so you don't get more than those guys. Or maybe you want to just do it with DeJounte Murray, Derek White, and Patty Mills, those guards from the Spurs. Set a rule, I want at most 2 of them. Meaning I can get 1, I can get 2, but I won't have 3. I can also get 0, but I won't have all 3 in my lineup because I think that takes away from your upside. So Patty Mills at $4,100 today. You're going to get a quality usage player, right? Over a 20% usage player, high assist percentage, especially for this 4K range, and continues to play nice minutes. Yesterday, Patty Mills probably got a little bit of a bump up from that blowout towards the end of it, but nothing major because he's been playing these 26, 27 minutes. He's now played 26 or more minutes in 4 straight games. They are continuing to solidify their guard rotation. Derek White, Patty Mills, they've been playing a lot of small ball and closing at the small ball lineups. Benefits, obviously, DeJounte Murray, Derek White, and Mr. Patty Mills. Now inside the top 10, top 10 we go. Hamidou Diallo, he already looks good, and here's the thing. I'm projecting Dennis Smith Jr. in for 18 minutes. I'm giving Wayne Ellington 20-plus minutes today, right? And these guys might indeed miss again. So Diallo already looks good. Now getting caught up to speed, 27 and 26 minutes in the last 2 games. He scored 43 and 36 fantasy points. The price point does shoot up, though, $500 since yesterday, so keep that in mind. But a nice total, 111 team total today against Washington. Strong matchup. Diallo, when we look at him on the season, obviously coming over from OKC, over a fantasy point per minute producer, depending on where you look at the game logs and what stats you're looking at for since he's been with Detroit, you're seeing close to 28% usage rate. He's been the guy on this team the last 2 games. If Dennis Smith is out, if Wayne Ellington out, it's only more wheels up for Diallo, who I'm currently projecting out today just for 26 minutes. That's how good of a fantasy point per minute producer Hamidou Diallo is. But I have Diallo for, 27 minutes at around a fantasy point per minute today. I have him for about 27 points and change. If Dennis Smith Jr. and or Ellington are out, I probably give him 28 to 30 minutes. He starts to project out for 30-plus points at just $5,000. Inside the top 10 we go. Drumroll as we get there is Mr. Marcus Morris Sr., who is questionable. Since he's on this motherfucking list, we obviously projected that man in today. Turn that questionable into a probable for us today, Mr. No PG-13 Marcus Morris. We're going to get some more wheels up here. Take flight. We're using wheels up a lot today. I don't know what's going on there. But before we get into this, a big old booty sponsor of the program today. The sponsor of the program is going to be Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the sponsor of the program. And people, I opened up the Discord this morning. I saw people last night putting them in there late last night. The CJ McCombs, the Damian Lillard's overs are hitting, right? The one that we like the most, the Montrezl Harrell under 31. He scores 26. Got close. We had a little bit of a sweat, but it was still fine. People were in $500, $300, $50, $100, $200 in the Discord. Get into that Discord on Patreon. No better time to get into the Discord than right now. But Prize Picks is the sponsor of the program and is over-under on player stats for a bunch of different sports, but including fantasy points. And I have projections for fantasy points, so this makes it a little bit easier to look into. So where are we going early on today with Prize Picks? They put up 8 player props early in the morning, and then by the afternoon, you're going to start to see 30 to 40 player props out there for just the fantasy points alone. Points, totals, and rebounds and assists, things like that. There will be more. I like to stick to the fantasy points. Where am I going right now? I'm going with Colin Sexton on the over 34, just as a little bit of an insight into where I have Colin Sexton today. I have Colin Sexton for 39.24 points. So I have him for 5 points more than this. This number I expect to go up to probably 36, somewhere around there today. So be sure to hop on this Colin Sexton total, not to now, but to right now. And then on the opposite side of that, because you have to pair at least 2 together, again, if you want to use the code SAL, S-A-L, I urge you to try it out. The link is in the description below. Any amount of money you put in up to $100, you put 50 in, bam, they match you with $50 right there. You put 20 in, you want to just put 20, try it out, bam, you get an extra 20, all the way up to $100 Rooskies. And then our second option, I'm going to be taking the under on Mason Plumlee. I have him for 27.5 points. The minutes have come and gone for him. I have him at 27 minutes today, and basically, I'm just about 5 points difference here, just like on Colin Sexton. So we'll take the under early on. I urge you to try this out. Again, you can use the link down below. That code SAL, S-A-L, get you a free money match up to $100 Rooskies. Link in the description. Code SAL. Let them know you came from me. So the over on Sexton, the under on Plumlee. We'll talk more about this on the live stream later today. Thank you, Prize Picks, for sponsoring the program in this 7-game slate today. Go get your dollar Rooskies. Go hunt them motherfucking dollar Rooskies today, fellas. So the number 9 play on the slate is Marcus Morris Sr. Again, I project him in today for 34 minutes. I'm giving him big minutes with no Paul George out there. Let's see what happens to this Clippers team when you take Paul George off the court. So when we take Paul George off the court, you can see Terrence Mann plays the most minutes on the team, and he's going to be a decent option for you. Kawhi plays the second most minutes, and we can go down here to Mr. Marcus Morris Sr., who's been injured in his own right. He averages 0.87 fantasy points per minute with Paul George off the court, but the biggest thing is the minutes. You're not going to have to worry about, is Marcus Morris going to play 27 or 28 minutes now? Assuming that he starts in this game, big 30s in minutes is what you're going to see and what you have seen in the past. So even though he's only going to average you like 0.9 fantasy points per minute, if you assume even if he just plays 32 minutes today, Marcus Morris is now projecting out for close to 30 fantasy points. I have him at 34 minutes today, and for me, he's projecting out for around 29 fantasy points, and I think I'm on the low end based on where I have his point per minute production, and even his minutes today at 34 easily could be 35, 36. So Marcus Morris for us, projecting out for 28.4 is our number 9 play on the day. To our number 8 play in the day, don't be late, number 8, Colin Sexton today, and we just talked about him on Prize Picks. Look, I got him at over 39 fantasy points today. I got him at 37 minutes. All these guys are out. Jared Allen, Larry Nance, these are actual point producers on the team. Some of the best point producers on this team. Jared Allen, number 1. Number 2, probably Larry Nance on this team. Now you get Colin Sexton, who averages 0.99 fantasy points per minute. I have him at 1.02 fantasy points per minute today. You're basically just going to get more usage and more shot attempts out of Colin Sexton. So I'm going to sign up for the buy low at $7,200 on a guy who probably shoots 20 plus times today. Yeah, the team total is not great, 103. The pace is probably going to be below below average against Philadelphia today, but that's all fine and dandy when I can expect probably close to 35% usage rate today and big minutes. His average minutes per game is 36. I have him above that at 37 right now. He's 39-point projection and change for me. Go get him right now over on Prize Picks on that over 35 because that is going to change, or over 34. I assume that changes to 35 or 36 pretty quickly today. Sexton is going to be the lead dog. Even if Kevin Love plays today, I'm expecting Kevin Love to play like 15 minutes. He doesn't want to be there. They're not playing in big minutes. We saw it when he came back for the first time from injury, and he got this quote-unquote phantom injury, quote-unquote, and hasn't been playing the last couple of days. I expect minutes limits there. Who else is out there? Darius Garland, sure. Nothing special in my opinion. Chetty Osman, Isaiah Hartenstein going to fill in at center. It's basically the Colin Sexton show in terms of usage today. It's going to look very nice against Philadelphia. The number 7 play on the slate is Mr. Kawhi Leonard. Look, we just talked about it. We can pull right back up on the slate right now. What happens when there's no Paul George? Kawhi Leonard plays the second most minutes on his team when there's no Paul George, and Kawhi Leonard I probably even have under projected today. He averages 1.39 fantasy points per minute with no Paul George. I'm projecting him for 1.35 with no Paul George so far, and I'm giving him 36 minutes today against Denver. 32% usage rate, 23.5% assist percentage, close to a 20% defensive rebounding rate. I mean, Kawhi Leonard has real triple-double upside today anytime Paul George is not going to be on the court. Kawhi Leonard with a 113.5 team employed total is very, very sexy, if you will, and he's going to be somebody at $9,300 that, yes, starts to become a priority today. I have him projected for over 50 fantasy points today at just $9,300, a clear and obvious value option for us on this slate. The number 6 play in the day is Dwight Howard. Look, we talked about it. The Cleveland guys, they're all out today. Isaiah Hartenstein's going to be in there. JaVale McGee got traded away. No Jared Allen. No Larry Nance. At the very best, a beat up and washed up Kevin Love. No Dylan Wilder for like what? 12 to 14, 15 minutes at small forward to be just somewhat big for you. So now it's Chetty Osman taking those minutes, who's smaller. So I don't know who's going to be out there to try and stop Dwight Howard. I only have him at 26 minutes today, but he's projecting out for me with a 111 team implied total for 30 fantasy points, which is obviously really nice for you. Dwight Howard, the minutes are always the security thing, right? But now we don't have Tony Bradley backing him up, who was maybe somebody they wanted to give more minutes to. Ended up trading him away, so it didn't seem like that. Ended up being just something where actually worked out that Joel Embiid got hurt so people can see some stock in Tony Bradley so they can trade him a little bit. Embiid expected to play in their next game on Saturday, but not today. Dwight Howard at $5,600, giving him 1.15 fantasy points per minute at 26 minutes today. He projects out for 30.75 points. Clearly one of the better value options on this slate against that Cleveland just beat up front court of big men. The number 5 play in the day, we're going right back to the Clippers. Whenever Paul George, a 1.3 fantasy point per minute producer, a 30% usage guy, whenever somebody out like that who plays big minutes in the 34 range around there, whenever they're going to be out, you want to be having guys step up. Luke Kennard started the last time Paul George missed, about 2 or 3 games. I think that Luke Kennard is going to start again today. If this changes, we will update it on Patreon. Speaking of Patreon, check it out, the Discord community. There's no better time than April to start, or the first of the month, April as well, with more sports, Masters, all that type of stuff. Everything full churning right now. But also, there's no better time to sign up than the first of the month for your budget reasons, the way that Patreon operates. So I encourage you to check it out. The Discord access is going to take your game to another level. People talking all different sports. We have obviously all the NBA tools, all the way from projections to player pools to top rated plays to the optimizer. Now we're going to be having MLB beta projections in there. We have PGA, Masters month, right? We have MMA. There's so much stuff. I can continue to talk about it. It's all linked down below. You can check out which package is going to be correct for you specifically. Hop into the Discord, say, hey, yo, what's going on, everybody in here? What's going on, ladies and fellas? And we'll be like, hey, how you doing? How can we help you out today? So you can check that out down below. Number 5 play, yes, Luke Kennard today for me. If we go on a pull right back up, we go right back to this, the handy dandy add more funds. He plays the 3rd most minutes on this team with no Paul George on the court, and he actually averages a decent fantasy point per minute production, right? 0.86 fantasy points per minute is very good for Luke Kennard. He's shooting right now 52% from 3. Obviously a smaller sample here, but absolutely massive. I'm giving Luke Kennard just 28 minutes. He can easily play 30 plus minutes. At 28 minutes, he starts to project out for me for right around 24 fantasy points today if I give him around a 0.85 fantasy point per minute production. Exactly today, the fantasy points for Luke Kennard for me are going to be 23.2. So that is very good to see. So 23.2, and that's a low number if he starts because I'm only giving him 28 minutes. Why don't you give him 30 plus out? Because I'm already going to get a lot of him, and giving him 2 less kind of hedges it a little bit there. So Luke Kennard, a number 5 play on the slate today, looking like a very saucy option. The 1.95x multiplier on SuperDraft, 5-game slate on SuperDraft today. We'll talk about that more later on the stream, some plays from there. Be sure to hit the like, subscribe, right? Hit that notification bell, live today around 5 p.m. East Coast time. Not much interest on SuperDraft as that fantasy points are just not going to be high enough. He's just a value price-wise on DraftKings. Nice team total as well. The number 4 play in the slate, Kyrie Irving. Here's the thing. I'm projecting out James Harden. We still don't have any Kevin Durant out there. Once you start to take these guys off the court, and we'll look at it on Add More Funds, Kyrie Irving looks great. Yes, he's $9,800, but now he's the guy on his team in a strong matchup against Charlotte in a very fast pace environment. A 117.5 team implied total currently sits as the highest on the slate. So yes, Kyrie is going to be a strong option. Now he's averaging 1.32 fantasy points per minute on the year, around 36 minutes, and a 32% usage rate. All those numbers are great, but let me show you what happens when you start to take Harden and Durant off the court. It's just going to become even more spectacular. Now this is pretty damn crazy. Kyrie Irving this year, you can see him, he's listed right here. I'll highlight all of his stats. So far this season, he has played about 250 minutes with no Durant and no James Harden. So it's a pretty decent sample that we get to look at. It's like a 6 or 7 game sample. He's averaging 1.61 fantasy points per minute. That is what Nikola Jokic has been averaging this year. That is what Joel Embiid has been averaging this year. And how much of those guys been priced? Close to $11,000 for much of the season. He's now priced below $10,000. This is a smash play if indeed James Harden, who tweaked his hamstring yesterday, does not play today. A 40% assist percentage, a 36% usage rate. He even gets into the double digits in rebounding rate right here at 11.3%. So 40% usage, 39.9, 1.161 fantasy points per minute. Absolutely nuts. And if you're just wondering, like a good stud will average somewhere around like 1.3 fantasy points per minute. Irving on the year averages 1.3. It shoots up to 1.6 fantasy points per minute. Absolutely insane. He's shooting over 41% from 3 when those guys are off the court. Kyrie Irving is going to be the smash play today. Like the priority payups today, obviously with no Paul George, Kawhi looks good. We just talked about him. But if there's no James Harden, it's going to be Kyrie. Expect him to be highly owned. You can argue that Kyrie Irving is one of the 2 top plays on the slate. There's another guy who really stands out. He's obviously in our top 4, so he's one of the top 4. You can argue that he deserves to be in the top 2, if not top 1 himself. Top 2, and he's not 2, right? But Kyrie Irving, $9,800, projecting out for over 55 fantasy points for us today. Going to be interesting to see what his prize picks prop is later on. The number 3 play in the day, Clint Capella. Look, this is a Clint Capella fan page anytime he's below $8,000. Oh, Sally's up to $7,700. Yeah, I mean, that's still decent usually, but now there's no John Collins. And with no John Collins, Clint Capella takes his rebounding rate to a whole nother level, and he starts to average 1.35 fantasy points per minute. And now you can rely on him to play out there for a little bit more stable minutes into the 30-32 range, since they need bigger bodies down there. Danilo Gallinari is not going to get it done as the only big body on the court. You're going to see a lot more Clint Capella out there, especially against Jakob Poeltl on the other side. So yes, give me the Clint Capella today. Give me all the Clint Capella today. Mr. Clint Capella for us, projecting out for over 43 fantasy points. You can see we start to have some centers on this slate. We have Dwight Howard. We have Clint Capella. These are nice options. Getting to 2 centers is usually something I like to do. Will there be another center in the top 2? Maybe that's a spoiler alert. Maybe that's a teaser. And then you're going to have to start to make some decisions if so, as we have 3, and we'll just say right there, we have 3 centers in our top 6. You're going to have to figure out early on today, at least news can change this, which one is going to be the bailout option for you. It's going to be tough to choose right now. But Capella above a 30% rebounding rate with no Collins on the court. It's looking nice for Mr. Clint Capella today, especially against San Antonio. I mean, that's just a pushover team when it comes from scoring against them. Capella expect like a 15 rebound plus game out of him. The number 2 play in the slate, Bruce Brown. So who else is going to benefit from there being no James Harden? Like TLC will benefit. Tyler Johnson, depending on the starting lineup, right? These guys will benefit. Joe Harris to an extent. But I want to see the starting lineup and those guys don't grade out as highly. But Bruce Brown is going to be somebody who benefits in a major way. Look, I mean, Kyrie Irving is obviously going to be taking the most benefit here, but you're giving away 38 minutes to the starting rotation and 38 minutes to this rotation in general today. Who benefits? Well, now I have Bruce Brown from playing 20 minutes. I gave him 28 minutes. I have him projecting out for around 0.85 fantasy points a minute. And Bruce Brown for me today is projecting out for over 26 fantasy points at just $4,700. There's an easy chance that he could play 30 plus minutes. There's also an easy chance that TLC can start and play 30 plus minutes, and then he joins onto this list once we get any type of news there. So just be sure to track the updates on Patreon later today. But Bruce Brown against Charlotte in this best game environment, this best team environment. We just talked about Kyrie. Who else benefits? For me right now, it is going to be Bruce Brown. I think the center minutes between Claxton and DeAndre Jordan are basically a wash, even with there being no James Harden out there. The power forward minutes between Jeff Green and Blake Griffin, it's just kind of a wash. So now you start to look at the other positions. So you can key in on Kyrie at point guard. You can key in on Bruce Brown at shooting guard. And now the small forward position kind of comes down to Bruce Brown will play small forward too, but the other position kind of comes down to who starts between TLC and Tyler Johnson. That'll be my other main interest from Brooklyn today. And the number 1 play in the slate from Cleveland, all these guys are out. All these bigs are out. Who steps in? Mr. Isaiah Hartenstein, the former Houston Rocket, the former Denver Nugget. Isaiah Hartenstein today is my number 1 play in the slate. We got to see him actually play in that last game. We got to see him start in that last game. What did he do? Oh, he was fantastic. Oh, he was beautiful. He was beautiful in that last game against Utah and Rudy Gobert. He played 26 minutes. He didn't even shoot well. He shot 2 of 8 in that game. 2 of 8, right? So he shoots 25%. He hits 1 3, though. It was nice to see. But he picks up 14 rebounds, 7 assists as a big man. This is a versatile big man. That's definitely an outlier, though, in my opinion. But he only scores 5 real-life points, and he still gets you 35 points. That's it. That's a Sal specialty right there. If I can have a guy who has outs to his game, Obviously, the rebounding rate is there for him, right? Obviously, he ends up picking up 5 fouls, and that doesn't really impact too much for him. He actually probably lost a couple minutes, but not too much. But the rebounding rate, having something to bail you out from an assist percentage standpoint as a big man, being just $3,700 with no Joel Embiid on the other side today, going up against Dwight Howard today, I'm fine with that. The best play in the slate to me is Isaiah Hartenstein. He's still below $4,000. He is the best buy pay down option. He is the best guy. He should be a priority for you today, and it only gets better if there's no Kevin Love. The minutes for him, I'm currently giving right now. Let's tell you where he projects out. Mr. Isaiah Hartenstein, for me, our number one play, projects out for just 24 minutes. Like, I'm not even giving him an insane amount of minutes. I'm giving him just 24 minutes today. That can clearly go up if there's no Kevin Love, right? And that allows him to project out for 26 fantasy points flat. Give me all the Isaiah Hartenstein. Give me a ton of these other guys in the top 12. But that's it. That is a 7-game slate. We'll be live later today around 5 p.m. East Coast time. Be sure to sign up for Patreon today. No better time than the first of the month for your budgeting needs, for the way Patreon processes. Come join that community. Come join the La Familia. I know a lot of people have been wanting to. A lot of people have been binking over on DraftKings, and especially Prize Picks and SuperDraft the last couple of weeks, and they said, hey, I'm going to sign up on the first. Well, now's your time. Here's your nudge. If you're somebody who takes in all this content a ton, and you've been winning the dollar Ruskies, and you enjoy those live streams and enjoy all this content, you enjoy myself and the community we're building here, well, come on and join it. Come on and join it. Get into the Discord over there. Here's your nudge right now. This ain't no April Fool's joke. This is the real, legit deal. Come join the community. I want more people in that Discord. We got 400, 500 people on Patreon. Let's get even more in there. Be sure to check out the sponsor of the program, Prize Picks. We took the over on Colin Sexton and the under on Mason Plumlee. Check them out. Use the code SAL, S-A-L, to let them know that you came from me, and they'll match your first deposit up to $100 bills, y'all. Enjoy your National Burrito Day today. Enjoy April Fool's Day and all the other national calendar days. I'll see you all on the live stream later today. Peace out. Gang, gang, gang.